What is going on, everybody? Today we're going to be talking about the build that you guys have been asking for since I did a reaction to this video right here. And when we saw this guy fly through this legendary solo, it was pretty impressive, probably one of the most impressive runs I've seen. And in this video, we'll be breaking down exactly how he was able to do this with this build. Now, obviously, he is running two different builds, but we're going to focus on the main build that he uses all the way up to the very end, which then he switches to negotiators. But before that, he's actually running a build that I have seen around. I just haven't really tried it out. And I tell you, I did try this out, and it is very, very impressive. And the way this build is set up is he is running the technician class. Now, he is doing this because there are really two benefits for this. Number one is because it gives him extra damage towards those drones, mechanical dogs, and that allows him to one-tap them. As you guys were seeing, he's able to one-tap them with the shotgun, and I'll show you exactly what shotgun he was using. Now, this also gives you one skill tier, and that allows you to get a little bit of stronger shield. Now, we have 6 reds on here, 1 blue, 1 yellow, and we are skill tier 2. One of the weapons he does use is this custom M870, and this is gonna allow him to one-shot those mechanical dogs. If you shoot him in the back of the leg, he's able to one-shot him. Now, he's actually using pummeled on his. I have killer on mine, but it's just the one I currently have. I can't swap anything out here. So ideally, shotgun, damage to armor, damage to targets out of cover, and then you would want something like pummeled or anything. But you don't even need the talent to one-shot him. Once you guys have enough of a stack, you should be able to one-shot any mechanical dog as long as you shoot him in the back legs, and that should one-tap him. That's why it's actually very impressive and very well thought out of this build that he had. And then he also paired it up at one point. He is using a sniper rifle. It's the White Death with Ranger, so he amplifies weapon damage by 2% for every 5 meters he's away from the target. Marksman rifle, 137% headshot damage, and then this comes with, and then it has critical hit damage, which you could actually swap this out for damage to targets out of cover. So now for the primary, which is going to be the pistol, it's the Regulus, and that is because of the way this works. It has pistol damage, headshot damage, and there's going to be a ton of headshot damage on this build. We have this talent. Headshot kills a 5-meter explosion, dealing 400% weapon damage and applying bleed to all enemies hit. And this explosion damage can sometimes just take out enemies. And since we have 6 reds, we have a lot of weapon damage on this build. And you'll see how we have this spec'd out. So yes, he is actually running a pistol build a lot different than what you typically see. You guys probably seen I ran a pistol build, a one-shot pistol build that headshots people. But Hunter's Fury actually works really good in Legendary because of a couple things. Number one, he's using it because it gives him that 50% shotgun damage and allows him to one-tap those robotic dogs, right? Also, he's using the Hunter's Fury for that 20% armor on kill and the 100% health on kill. Because in certain situations, if you get hit, you can actually shoot a couple enemies, kill them, and get your armor back pretty quick. Another reason is because of Apex Predator. And the reason why this works so good in Legendary is because enemies within 15 meters receive a debuff amplifying your weapon damage against them by 20%. So all those enemies he's getting those headshot damage shots on, he's amplifying his weapon damage against them by 20%. Now, this is where it even gets even better, right? It says, killing a debuff enemy with your weapon destroys other enemies within 5 meters. And that's what's really good about it, because when you can get them, once, if you notice, he was getting them in close quarters, right? Like he knew where the spawn points were. And when he would kill one, even if that other enemy didn't die from the explosion damage, they were getting disoriented. And what did that do? That gets him confused, and that allows him to keep landing those headshots. Now, this is also going to amplify his weapon damage by 5% for 10 seconds, and this can stack up to 5 times. So you can have additional 25% amplified weapon damage. So a total of 45% amplified weapon damage with this, if he can get all the procs stacked at once. And that's why it is still very viable without a shotgun or SMG, and you're seeing that. Those one-shot headshots is what he was running. Now, obviously, with the headshot build, you're going to want weapon damage, headshot damage rolled in the attribute, and then a headshot damage mod. And that's what you're typically going to see through the whole build. For the chest, he was running a Douglas and Harding. So this is going to give him that 20% pistol damage. Now you might think, well, why won't I run the Providence? Well, because what you want to do on a build that you have a lot of amplified damage, you want to have a lot of base weapon damage so that damage can be amplified. Headshot damage doesn't amplify the way weapon damage does. So that's just something for you guys to keep in mind. And when you guys are playing with it and testing it out, you can test out a build with Douglas and Harding and a build with Providence, and you're going to be hitting a lot harder with this pistol damage. So we have 20% pistol damage on here. We have 12% weapon damage, which you want to get as maxed out as possible. We have headshot damage. For that explosive resistance, realistically, you could put whatever you want there. He had all red, so he probably had crit chance or crit damage, but the chances of you critting on this build with such low crit is probably slim. So you could probably put something with armor regen that helps out with your backpack or whatever you want typically, but you're gonna have headshot damage. You want to have the headshot damage mod, and then he had headhunter. After killing enemy with the headshot, your next weapon hit within 30 seconds deals an additional 125% of that killing blow's damage. And then that's how you're able just to consistently boom, 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 knock out those kills. And look, damage is capped to 800% of your weapon damage. This is raised to 1,250% if your headshot damage is greater than 150%. And we are going to have that. And that's why this build hits so hard, and that's why he's using it. For the holster, it's the second piece of Hunter's Fury. Obviously, weapon damage, headshot damage. For the knee pads, same thing, weapon damage, headshot damage. For the fourth piece of Hunter's Fury, weapon damage, headshot damage. So you saw in all the Hunter's Fury pieces, weapon damage, headshot damage is what you want. And then for the backpack, the Memento backpack, the reason why is because this allows him to get one extra skill tier. It also allows him to get 170,000 armor, so he's sitting at 913,000 armor, and it gives him weapon damage. And then you could put a headshot damage mod on there. But what really is impressive about this is when he has full stacks, or when he picks up a trophy, which you're fighting pretty close, he's gonna gain 30% weapon damage right off the bat. And then anything he has on top of that, if he gets the 30 stack, if he gets 3, that's gonna give him 30% weapon damage, 30% skill efficiency, 3% armor regen. It's just a lot of really big benefits for this. And when you are running a solo legendary build like he was running, that's why he was running it, because as he starts to get these stacked up, he gets stronger and stronger as he's pushing through. And that's what's so impressive about this build. Now, he was running the Decoy for most of the mission, and then he did swap over to the assault turret. So those were the two things he was running. Now this allows the enemies to really focus on the Decoy versus focus on him, and allowing him to get behind him. That's what he did at the very beginning. So that's why he was running that right there. And then obviously he was running the Bulwark Shield at tier 3 because he has 1 blue, 2 yellows. It's still a pretty powerful shield at 8 million. Now if we look at the weapon damage, base damage is 692,000 without even any stacks, 10% crit chance. This could be at 16% if we get it on there, but it's still super low. 45% crit damage, 204% headshot damage. This is what you need to pay attention to, because this is where you're going to gain that extra damage from Headhunter. And that is why this build hit so hard. And that's what you were seeing when he was running through this. He was hitting really hard. He had a survivability because of the armor regen he was getting from a Memento backpack. He had survivability because of the Hunter's Fury piece, and that's what was so impressive about this run. And this is what he typically ran through the whole build all the way to the very end. And once he got to the boss encounter at the very end, that is where he swapped to Negotiators, and that's so he can hit multiple targets at once. If you guys want to see a build like that, I have multiple builds like that on this channel. But yeah, this is the build that he was running, and this is why it was so impressive. All right guys, hopefully you guys are enjoying this. Hopefully you guys enjoyed his speed run. I thought it was pretty cool. If you haven't seen that, I recommend going and checking it out. But yeah, this is the build. I'll see you guys in the next one. But until then, hey, nothing but skills out.